either you pay the price for leadership or your people do.
Yeah. Oh,
One
yeah.
of the two.
Yeah.
And so with that, how can young leaders learn now to pay the price?
Learn to be okay when someone says no.
We'll kind of switch it up here.
Yeah,
we'll
for
talk
sure.
some leadership a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of young people out here. So my audience
like
is
it.
mostly like 13 to about 35.
All right.
So
Cool.
we're cooking with the young people out there. Shout out millennials, Gen Z,
Yep.
all of them. So we're super excited. If you're millennial, Gen Z, drop in the chat right now. Tell me what's up.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so I've always heard it put like this. You need people in your life that are going to bring correction to you in the right way. Obviously, if
Right.
someone's there to degrade you, knock you down, you probably don't want them speaking into your life.
Yep.
But oftentimes I meet young people that don't want any kind of correction. And so I have a saying, I think I told you this last night, like correction feels like judgment to those who are in love with their own mediocrity.
Ooh, that's fire.
So
Say it again.
correction feels like judgment to those who are in love with their own mediocrity.
My goodness. Y'all need to tweet that.
So walk us through here. How do you find someone in your life who should be speaking into it? In other words, as a leader, so specifically as leaders, I'm trying to grow as a leader.
Yeah.
I need someone to bring correction to my life to help me grow, to become all that God created me to be. How do I start to look for that person?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So number one, find someone who you love the integrity and character of their life over their gifting.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
So for some of us, what we think is, man, if I only had this pastor who's famous or this leader who's famous or this amazing preacher, you're looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You're looking at the wrong thing. Find someone, and this is what I had to do. I changed my heroes. So when I was a teenager, right, and this is what we do, stadium gatherings.
They must be the stuff.
They must be the it. And then I started realizing that all these big level preachers, their kids aren't following Jesus. They've been divorced a few times. Not like, and I'm not trying to judge. You got to know what you want for your life. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to name names. Right? They've fallen into things. Mm-hmm. They don't have a relationship with their kids. Their kids aren't serving God. And like, let's say they have 10 kids.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes everyone has their own salvation. But you have like 10 kids and like 9 out of 10 don't love Jesus. Something's wrong. So I started changing my heroes.
Yeah.
And I started wanting to learn from people who, the real stuff, not the ministry stuff, the real stuff. What do their kids look like?
Yeah.
What is their marriage?
Yeah.
I want that kind of marriage. Remember, because I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a mom really in my life. I didn't have a healthy marriage. I don't know what it was to raise kids. Like I have 2 kids and I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I only know what I'm doing because of spiritual family, people in local church settings who have loved on me and by their life have showed me how God's supposed to do it and how they're supposed to do it in Jesus.
Yeah.
And so for those who are like, how do I welcome correction and guidance and find the right leader? Look at their character and their integrity and who they are when no one's looking versus when they're on the stage.
Yeah.
Do not follow someone just because they're hype on social.
Yeah.
100%. Know them. And that's why you can't really be discipled by someone on the internet.
100%.
Because you don't know their life.
Yeah.
Like, again, this is gasoline to the fire of your heart. This isn't the substance. This isn't the coal that keeps things burning.
Yeah.
And so that would be the first thing, like integrity, character. Find someone who loves Jesus, whose family loves Jesus, who emanates and shows what Jesus was on the earth as much as they can. I'm not going to be perfect, of course, but man, like there's something on their life that's different, not because of anointing or gifting, but because of the integrity and the passion for God on their life, right? Yeah. Secondly, I'm only going to do 2. So one, that's like the major. And that was a big shift for me. And when I finally did that, I began to be really discipled.
Yeah, okay.
Because that was my fault. I had leaders in my life as a teenager who had that, but because they weren't at the level of gifting I wanted them to be, I ignored them.
Ooh, that's good.
My arrogance, because I thought I was called higher than what they were.
Yeah.
And yet, God was never going to promote someone who is arrogant under their leader.
Yeah, because you'll never rise to the level of your gifting. You'll always fall to the level of character. So whatever your character can sustain, that's as far as you're going to go.
So I had amazing leaders, and I would learn, and I grew from them, but I never really gave them access. Remember, also, I have like this issue with my dad and my mom, father wounds.
Of course.
So a lot of millennials struggle with this. I think more than Gen Zers, because you've had broken relationships with your parents. So how can you trust mentors, fathers, pastors, leaders, when your parents have even had a lack of trust, right? Yeah. So you got to find someone with the right stuff. What I'm challenging is make sure you know what the right stuff is.
Gotcha.
I thought the right stuff was someone who could pray for people and they all get laid out or moving in miracles.
Yeah.
Man, that's not the stuff that really builds you. Although that stuff's powerful and you can learn,
100%.
that's not the stuff that really builds you. Find the right person with the right stuff.
Yeah.
So then when I did that and I began to realize who, like, my spiritual father is, his name's Eric Bach, I recoded him. He changed my life. Him and his wife, Lori, Eric and Lori Baca, changed my life because he was the dad I needed, not the dad I wanted.
Yeah.
And God in his kindness, and he just loved on me, and God used him to heal my heart in so many ways. And this is the guy who ended up taking his church over, and he trusted me with his church.
Wow.
And I would not be here if it wasn't for him. And what I needed to realize is I needed to follow this man, not because of how gifted he was, although he was incredibly gifted as well.
Yeah.
I need to follow this man because of the integrity and character and authority and passion for Jesus on his life.
Yeah.
I needed authenticity. So you need to find someone that authentically loves God. And then number 2, you need to break your arrogance and you need to learn to trust again. The issue oftentimes is trust.
Yeah.
And I get it because you've had people in your life, they've lost your trust. But you can't hold on to that. That's the whole unforgiveness thing. You got to learn to trust again.
Yeah.
And it's easy to trust someone when step 1 happens. The problem, what we do, is we try to trust people that don't have integrity, and we repeat the cycle of hurt and shame and brokenness again and again and again. And that's where spiritual abuse happens. And we get addicted to spiritual abuse because we're wanting the platform instead of wanting Jesus.
Ooh. Yeah.
But if I find someone who's integrous, who's going to do the right thing 99% of the time, who knows his stuff, who's going to follow God, him or her, whatever it is, I don't care. Then it's like, okay, God, teach me to trust them. The thing that, and I get a little emotional when I was talking about Eric Baca because I didn't trust anybody. I was so broken. I was such an orphan in my mindset. I was such a victim in my mentality. I was already saved for when I met him 8 years, but man, I was so stuck and I was so trapped in all these things. And he just loved me through it and corrected me and challenged me. And oh my God, it hurt so bad because I never got corrected. I didn't really have that mom, dad in my life. I had my grandma and my aunt, but it's different. And so I would get corrected and he would call me on stuff. I'd get so angry. He could tell you I'd get so irritated. I showed on my face, 21-year-old kid. Because and by then I've already done some like stuff that are like young people would consider next level, preach at places, flown to conferences, met some cool people.
Yeah.
And like, who's this guy? It's all arrogance. It's all my walls. And you know what he began to do? He began to work on the hardness of my heart. And here's the thing I knew from him. I can trust him because the only reason why he would correct me is because it was to make me better.
Wow.
I knew 100% he wasn't manipulating me. He wasn't abusing me because I can trust who he was.
Yeah.
And I can trust who Jesus called me to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I would recommend. Like, you got to find someone who's honorable, trustworthy, authentic. And then you need to begin to walk the pathway of trust, right? Brennan Manning talks about the pathway of trust is the pathway of trust is the radical devotion to Jesus, right? Is unto the radical devotion to Jesus. Like how we experience like the reckless, powerful, daunting love of God, right? The ragamuffins pathway to the love of the Father, the love of the Son, the love of the Spirit. Brennan Manning describes it as the trust factor, right? Yeah. Right? We have to learn to trust God in a way, and then trust the person that God put in our life. Yeah. Whether it's for a season or forever, but you got to do it. And that takes a lot of barriers, and that takes a long time sometimes. But if you don't, you'll always be stuck. Doesn't mean you're not saved. It just means you won't go as deep. Yeah. And remember, leadership is as high as it is as deep. Mm-hmm. So it's more about going deep so you could withstand the height. Yeah. Right? You want to make sure that you're not going to come crashing down. So young people need a level of depth. Yeah. And so you need people to help you dig and go deep within the Lord. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think to tag on to that, I'd like to talk about honor too. Because I think we need to be honorable people because not because necessarily someone's earned the honor, but because that's who we are. Sure. We give honor because we are just people of honor.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's easy to honor when people have lived honorably too.
Oh, 100%.
So like, I think if you're in a season and you have to honor someone for a while that's not honorable, like roll with it until the Lord like tells you to leave.
Yeah. Well, we're not saying stay in unhealthy situations by any means.
For sure.
No.
But so yeah,
but just because your leader makes a mistake, people want to walk out the door on your leader too. And it's like, man, you got to honor that person in your life.
And man, we're talking leaders, like this context is leadership. We need to learn the difference between preference and conviction.
Yes.
Because you can die on a hill of something that doesn't even matter in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, who cares what the flyer looks like?
Yeah.
I know that really matters to you. Or like for me as a young leader, like it kind of really mattered to me. And maybe one day I'm going to change the flyer and the way it looks, or the name of the series, or the way we do baptisms, or da-da-da-da. But like in the end of the day, what does that really matter if you can trust this person? If this person has loved God, raised his kids well, served his church well, has never really fallen, has never really messed up, has never cheated on his wife, isn't struggling with major sin. And yeah, they're going to make small mistakes, but it's not going to be mistakes that are going to damage you and damage the body.
Yeah.
That's honorable.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to let your preference go. And bottom line, you're not the guy. You're not the girl. God's put them in charge, not you. And you just got to be okay with that. Because one day, if you are the guy or the girl, they got to be okay with that.
100%.
So the only way you learn empathy and compassionate leadership is by going through the things that one day your leader is going to have to go through under you as well.
Yeah.
One day you're going to make a call and they're not going to like it, but because you lived and you were honoring, Eric Baca used to always tell me this, what you sow into now is what you'll reap into the future in leadership.
Yeah.
And I've literally seen it.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
And like, you have to begin to sow into these honorable moments where we honor and trust our leaders.
Yeah.
Right? That are honorable and trustworthy.
They are.
Let go of our preference. Don't die on a hill. That's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, because cancel culture is a big thing.
Yeah.
For like the younger generation. So they make one mistake, we want to cancel them because if we join in like a movement, there's clout in that movement.
Yeah.
We
love clout and we love status.
Yeah.
And we love to be right.
Yes. Which, by the way, seeking justice from that perspective, like a right in the sense of the term, like justice is not bad, but not the world's sense of justice within like, let's immediately cancel somebody for X or Y or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And what's interesting
especially when there's someone that's poured their life out for you,
right?
Put it on display, has given hundreds of hours, thousands of hours to your development. They make one mistake and we're ready to walk out the door on them because they weren't perfect. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, we wonder why later in our life we're not honored.
Right. We live in a culture right now that is dishonor is the new language.
Yeah.
And it's become normal.
Well, everyone loves a good diss track.
Yeah, man. And this is what we do.
Yeah.
And no one gives the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
There's no empathy. There's no compassion.
And nothing significant's ever built with dishonor.
No.
It's only built
and
with
again,
love.
we're not talking extremes because right now, someone could be in the comments and be like, well, my pastor did this and this to me and like hurt me. And like, I'm not talking about that. I'm not.
No.
I'm talking about like if he didn't answer the phone when you needed him, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because he was probably busy pastoring someone else maybe, or maybe he was on date night with his wife and you just don't know the story. Or maybe he was taking a nap. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I take naps, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they hate you. But we go immediate, because that's what we do. Whatever doesn't make us feel good, we go to immediately change it. And we don't know how to stick things out. We don't know how to make commitment.
Yeah.
Right? Honor and commitment go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like loyalty is such a lost love language today. Honor is such a lost love language today.
Yeah.
And we need to bring it back because these aren't cultural concepts. These are kingdom concepts. These are biblical concepts.
Yeah.
These are gospel concepts. And we have to be okay with trusting him with it. If the person's trustworthy.
Yeah.
Especially so.
Well, we've got it backwards. We want convenience over conviction.
Heck yeah.
And we need to bring back conviction to the point where I'm willing to give up my convenience so that way I can have something that anchors me.
Yeah. Whenever I was in moments, on a side note, where like I disagreed with my leader, the Lord, I'd be all upset or like, I don't think we should do that. And I think that's dumb and da-da-da. Like, this is what I'm saying in my mind. I never said that to him.
Yeah.
And,
well, I hope not.
Right, I hope not, right? Sometimes I've said some things and then he had to like, he put me in check. But
of course.
But
as a good leader should.
As a good leader should, because it comes with an attitude and arrogance.
Yeah.
But I would go into the place of prayer and I would talk to Jesus, and Jesus would begin to remind me of all the things that person did for me. Mm-hmm. Not that he has earned my trust in the sense of he worked for it, but how I should honor because he didn't have to. Yeah. She didn't have to. And you know what? We've made it this far. Why not keep going? So here's what I saw. Because I think so a little bit of my story, which I think you might want to get into as in this leadership talk, is I was a youth pastor under my spiritual father, became an executive pastor. So became a youth pastor at 20, executive pastor at 24, and then ended up taking over the church at 28. I'm 30 now. Been over it for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
We're still very close, by the way. The pastor who used to pastor the church still preaches. We still talk.
Of course.
He's my dad.
Yeah.
We hang out.
Yeah.
He comes, he speaks to the house. He's the father of the house. He's close to my team. He's close to my staff. The sad thing is that's like the exception in American Christianity, not the norm.
Yeah.
Very Paul Timothy relationship, but we don't have a lot of Paul Timothy relationships.
Yeah.
And there were times where, yes, I just did not agree with him. I just did not think we should do it that way. But I would be reminded by Jesus, look at how much he loves you, how much he cares for you, that he has your back. Like, you wouldn't be here if he didn't hire you. You wouldn't be here if he didn't give you a shot.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to say these things. He's never invited you to the table. Yeah. And I have to recognize that, man, he went out on a limb, bro. He hired a 20-year-old with no degree to help take care of his people. I could have blown Spot up. I could have ruined everything. I could have deconstructed everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I could have went hard in the paint and just a friggin' bomb went off.
Yeah. And
everything just exploded. But no, I didn't. I it's mutual. And then he would honor me too. And so why I say that is because I'm a part of a network that what's happening is young people don't know how to stick to their guns and stay in the game out of preference. And the older generation doesn't know how to trust the younger generation because they're insecure and they think they're going to mess everything up.
Wow.
So it's both.
Yeah.
So you might be in a situation where your lead guy or lead person just doesn't trust you. And now, if you've done things and it's your fault why he doesn't trust you, that's your fault. And you need to fix that. But let's say you haven't done anything, but because he was wounded by the last 3 young people who were his youth pastors that said when they got hired or came on the team that they were going to love young people and they were going to love him. And then 6 months later, they took 50 people and planted another church. Like, guys, your leaders have scars. And your job is to not open them up again. Yeah. Your job is to see those, learn from them, and trust them. But as older leaders, this is what Eric Baca did so well with me, that he gave me room. Yeah. He let me grow with him. Yeah. He didn't care that I was better at him than things. Actually, he loved that I was better at him at things. And so we have to do that, or else we're just reproducing the same thing again and again and again. Because you think that one day when you begin to, let's say you leave or you do what you want to do and you instead of actually submitting into the authority that God gave you, you just jump ship and you're going to start your own thing and you're going to do what you want. You're just going to end up being who you learned from.
Ooh, say that again.
You will.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're just going to jade the same type of young people, the next generation, as you got jaded. Because you never allow God to heal you and form you and do something deep in you that's deeper than just feeling and emotionalism. Yeah. Yeah. It's what happens. Mm-hmm. We can't reproduce the same thing. So older leaders, we got to trust young people. And young leaders, you can't just jump ship when they don't want you to, when you want to do a lock-in and they say no. Stupid stuff like that. Yeah. Or because you want to preach more. Well, maybe you're just not that good, homie. Yeah. Real talk.
Come on.
You have to trust. And you have to be, right? Maybe there's other things. And it's well, I just think I'm amazing. Well, are you? And remember, we always think we're better than what we are.
100%.
Right? That's the human nature, right? We always think we're fire. Yeah. You're a musician. I love talking with musicians because they think they're the best.
All the time.
And
they get up on the drums.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's seen that TikTok video. It's people play guitar. Oh, I'm a 10 out of 10. They get on there, can't guitar solo. You know somebody's I'm a 3 out of 10, and they're
so anything, right? It's you think you're a better leader than what you are. You think, and it's just natural. But that's why we need older people to speak into us and grow us and call us higher. Yeah. And then older people, for sure, older leaders need to be able to trust younger people. 100%. I think I'm speaking more to the younger ones in this. Yeah. But what was cool about my story is it's been the exception. Yeah. Where I had an older leader who trusted me and grew me and developed me and gave me room to grow. Yeah. And let me be a part of something that he led. Mm. But then at the same time, when there was moments where we disagreed, I didn't just jump ship because I was angry or upset and I could do it better. Yeah. And if I would have jumped ship, I would have never been trusted to take over this beautiful church that we lead in Lathrop, where we're literally reaching our city. God is moving. We've reached so many people. We're not a small church, but we're not a big church either. I don't want to get caught up in the numbers, but 28-year-olds don't inherit churches the size of the church that I was entrusted with. And that only happened because of God and because of the relationship between lead pastor and, the under leadership that I was. And it's spiritual father, spiritual sonship, pastoring, mentoring, that Paul Timothy thing.
Yeah.
I would have never been qualified if I didn't stay in the game. Half of the battle, friends, is just staying in the game. Go home, sleep it off, lead another week.
Yeah, that's so good. Sometimes you need to go home, cool off,
Yeah.
and get up again.
Yeah, dude.
Do it again.
It's not that
again.
big of a deal.
Do it again. Yeah. I want to talk. Let's talk about fearless leadership too, because I think, and just from the perspective, I think it ties into what we're talking about really well. I meet a lot of leaders who are afraid of that 2-letter word, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're terrified
like
of
they're
that.
asking and they get the no.
They get the no.
Yeah.
And they're afraid of that. And I also meet people who they feel like God has told them to make changes in their ministry, in their business, in their life. And they go to implement those changes. Their people don't like that.
Okay.
And so, and even that no from them, it's that no. I mean, they may not get the no directly, but they're getting that sense of no from them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're tracking with me? Okay.
So no from people, not no from like a leader.
Yeah,
so
not
the
no
leader,
from a leader.
The leader's like, go for it.
Yeah, the leader's like, go for it. And you're going to bring the change.
Yeah.
And then the people you're with are like, bro, I ain't going there.
Yeah.
I ain't about it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that kind of gets us scared. Like, oh, we didn't hear from God then, or we shouldn't do this. So talk to us. How do we implement kind of strategy into that? Because like for instance, I'll give you an example. I'm thinking of a specific situation where I had a call with a pastor, a friend of mine, and he was like, man, I really feel like God is calling me to pursue this in our ministry.
Okay.
And I want to get after it. But my team, I pitched it to them, and it did not go well. It did not go well at all. They were not about it. They did not want to go there. They told me they weren't going to follow me anymore. So what do you say to somebody like that? That's like, I want to make waves. I feel like God's called me to something, but the people I'm around are not about it.
Yeah.
How do I? Because once again, that's a trust conversation thing, right?
It is a trust conversation.
So that could be so many things. Because it could be a trust thing. It could be maybe it's time to let go and move on and like not to another place, but it's time to let them move on and kind of be helpful for both of you. You know, like because what the specific advice that I gave him was like, in the context you're in, you've got the yes from your senior leader.
Okay.
Go for it.
So let's use this exact scenario because this is helpful.
Yeah.
That means it wasn't the dumbest idea on the planet.
No, it was a good idea.
Because sometimes if everyone says no, you just have to not be arrogant and think that your idea was the best. It could be dumb.
Yeah.
But let's say I've
had some dumb ideas.
Bro, we all do. Like that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Like you just rock it out.
Yeah.
But if someone was like, oh, yeah, go for it. That sounds like it could work. So then it's not the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
So obviously these people aren't saying no because it's completely idiotic.
No.
Now half of them could believe it's idiotic.
Yeah.
But there's something deeper there. If the lead guy
says go for it. Like the lead guy's like, please do this.
Oh.
He's all for this.
Okay.
And the people that are specifically on his team are like, no, we're not going there. We're not doing this. And the advice I gave him was like, I think you got to build trust. Obviously, I think you need to go back and maybe not think that you communicated as well the first time. So because you may have communicated well as senior leader, you may have not communicated it as well too, or you guys may just be on the same page. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you and other people just click so well.
Right.
We can finish each other's like sentences. You know what I mean? It's just like all kinds. I almost said sandwiches like Frozen. That was dumb with me. Anyways,
but I thought you didn't even like movies, bro.
I don't, but it's a secret.
Sandwiches, yo.
But anyways, like sometimes you can finish each other's sentences, so like you don't even have to really put verbiage to what you're trying to do, and your senior leader is like, I see your heart. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so you haven't put the work in to develop the concept fully or to put language to it, and you pitch it to your team. So I said, you know what, you need to go back. You need to just not cut your team off. You need to work on your team.
Sure.
Give it a few months. Work with your team. But at that point, what's the line where you say, okay, if you don't feel called to do this with us, that's perfectly fine. I want to help you find what you're called to and help you get plugged into that.
Yeah. Wow.
You see what I'm saying though? Like, does that make sense?
I am. It's so, leadership is such a case-by-case basis.
It is.
Leadership is such an art rather than a science.
Yeah.
So one could mean something for one person and someone could mean something for another person. In this scenario, was the issue workload, vision? Like, were they disagreeing? Like, you don't have to go through details, obviously, but like, is it they're disagreeing with the vision that he had?
like I'll give you one piece of it.
Because of the workload or because of like theology?
No, I would say vision.
Okay, so that's fine. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's vision, I would say that leader has not had enough relational equity with the team.
Makes sense.
So think of it like this, and it's kind of, you got to make sure this isn't super unhealthy, but it is a good leadership practice as long as it's not extreme. Every time you pour into someone or you love on someone or you do something for someone, you got to have relational equity. meaning you got to have buy-in. So every time you do something for them, love on them, show up to a party, hang out with them for lunch, imagine it's like a bank account. You're depositing into that bank.
Yeah.
So, right, $50, $80, $100. They're not real dollars. Call them like relational dollars or spiritual dollars. Shroot bucks, if you're a fan of The Office, right? Whatever. But like they're fake money, right? Monopoly money. But it's like, but it is real. Yeah. But what you need to understand is every time you make a change, every time you correct, and every time you don't come through, it's a withdrawal. Mm-hmm. So what that tells me is that leader is in the negative of all their accounts. Yeah. It's good. He's done changes that haven't worked. He has not put enough relational equity into the conversation. Or because even if it's a dumb idea, if you have the relational buy-in of your team, they're like, I don't know, but I trust you. Yeah. And what he's doing is he is functioning out of assumption that his team is for him, when for the last few months his team is not for him. And I bet this is not the only thing they're disagreeing with him on. Interesting. There's no way. Yeah. There's a disconnect somewhere. There's a disconnect. That's deeper than just this specific issue. Yeah. Yep. So it's because, man, I've never had that happen to me. Yeah. Well, we're the whole team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think we as young leaders, we've got to communicate. Yeah. We've got to make that a priority. Right. And then making sure like you're communicating, I really feel this from the Lord. I'm asking you to trust me with this. Let's just try this out. If it doesn't work, we'll go back, right? There's so many things to it. And I think if the whole room, you've lost the whole room, it's like, wow, something's missing. Yeah. Now, if it was half and half, that's where I would say, okay, because leadership is clarity. Yeah. And vision does separate. Yeah. It doesn't just bring everyone on the boat. It also is very clear. Like, right? Like, hey, we're getting on this plane and we're going to England. And you're like, oh, that's not my plane. I'm not trying to go to England. Yeah. That's okay. Like leadership in some ways is unifying, but it's also divisive. Yeah. In a healthy way. Yeah. It's like, well, we're going to go this way. Oh man, well, you know what? I kind of signed up for youth to, let's say, like we're gonna be evangelistic. Let's just say we're gonna change everything we do on Wednesdays. Instead of being discipleship focused, we're gonna be evangelistic focused, and everything we're gonna do is about reaching the lost. Well, I kind of signed up for youth to disciple kids. Well, we're not really gonna disciple right now. We're really gonna just focus on the evangelism. Okay, there's a clear line. Maybe this isn't for me. That's okay. Let's find you somewhere else in the house that your gift is connected with. Yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem. But when the whole room is like that, that's not a gifting thing. Something's missing. I would say there's not enough relational equity to make the change. That makes sense. Okay, what about the other situation though, when maybe it's one or two people in the room and it's a line? How do you know the difference? Is it just the amount of people in the room? Or what would you say the difference is between? It's actually, I would say it's not the amount of people, it's who the people are. Gotcha. The ones that if I have 8, but the 2 that you trust. That I know are going to do 90%, 80% of the work. Because let's be honest, not everyone on your team does the same amount of capacity of work. Yeah. 80% of the people do 20% of the work. 20% do 80%. Absolutely. So if I think it was Jonathan Maxwell that said that. Yeah, for sure. So right, if I have my 2 guys or girls and they're like, you know what, I don't know, but I trust you. Let's rock it. I think it could work. Let me help you figure it out. And 5 of the other guys are like, no, but they're only doing 20% of the work. Run with the 2. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, because if you feel like it's the Lord and especially if your lead guy is giving you authority to do it, that's the thing. That's the thing. And see, that's why I think maybe there was some issue there with vision casting. Or did the lead guy even give him authority and he's saying he did, but he really didn't yet? That's a great question. Yeah. I have to dig into some of that stuff. Right. So that's why I'm saying it's all like case by case basis. But what I will say is on the other side, let's say the room is split, because that's part of the obvious question too. Yeah. Let's say the room is split. You're not called to manage them. You're called to lead them. 100%. Like management is making sure everyone's okay. Yeah. Leadership is leading people into the future. Yeah. And Jesus said things and thousands of people would follow him. And then Jesus would say things and thousands of people would leave him. Yeah. Because he was leading his people into the kingdom, not managing them into the kingdom. That's good. And sometimes people don't think like leaders, and you need to think like a leader. Yeah. So that's also the case too. So for me, if I'm losing 1 or 2 or 3, but I really know this is from the Lord, and some key people I trust, really my authority. It's not even my authority. And I got some people under me that are like, yep, let's run it. I think that's from the Lord. It's my authority. Yep, that's from the Lord. Felt like it was from the Lord. Talk to my wife. If you're married, that's a good one. Always check with the spouse. Make sure you're not crazy. If you're not married, then you just got to deal with it with Jesus. But all right, it all lined up. I think we need to do this. Okay. Let's give it a shot. And then the way I do things is like, let's just give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, we'll just go back.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And that's what we do today.
Yeah.
Like, and right, like I'm leading a multi-generational church of hundreds of families.
Yeah.
Like real talk, not to be arrogant. I'm 30.
Yeah.
My board is over the age of 60. My staff is almost under the age of 35.
Yeah.
Most of the people I lead are older than me.
Yeah.
But they trust me because there's relational buy-in, there's relational equity. And then I tell them, look, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. We'll just go back then.
Yeah.
We're not gonna kill the place.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's good to keep proper perspective too with people, because sometimes we get so zoned in on the change, and we're thinking of all the bad that could happen, because not everybody's an optimist, unfortunately. You know, like not everyone's like, oh, let's do it. Sometimes they're like, hold on, tap the brakes. We're moving an inch off course, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think you got to keep the perspective where it's like, we can always.
And it depends what you're changing. What I learned from a leadership pastor, his name's Troy Jones. He talks about how this is from a lead pastor perspective in a way, but I think this works for anything. Your board or your oversight will always give you resistance when there's financial change. Mm-hmm. Your team will always give you resistance when there's time or bandwidth change. So chances are he was asking more for their time, and I bet what they were already doing wasn't working, and he was asking more on top of it. And your people, just the people who are part of your place or what you lead, will give you resistance with system change. So your people don't care if there's money change or bandwidth change, because your people will just kill and serve.
Yeah.
But your team will give you resistance, not with money, not with system. Honestly, when you're trying to make system changes, teams are normally like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Because it's going to make my life easier.
Yeah.
Right? So there's kind of different tiers of resistance with different parts of what you lead.
That's good.
Yeah. That's why like normal church people won't freak out about finances in some way.
Yeah.
Unless it's super unhealthy, but like, hey, we're going to spend $50,000 on missions this year. Bet, let's go. There's vision. But we're going to change the name. Oh,
hold on a second.
Right?
Yeah. We're going to change the carpet. Huh?
Right. Because it's system, it's visual, it's structural.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, we're going to do 12 outreach events this year, they're fine.
Oh yeah, they're
okay. They're going to serve. Yeah. But the staff, we're going to do 12 outreach events this year. I got to be here every Saturday.
Serious?
Yeah.
Once a month? Right.
Yeah. So there's different levels of resistance.
Yeah.
All resistance, though, can really be healed if you communicate the why well.
Yeah. Right?
If for those that are really struggling with the communication and how to communicate vision, great book by a guy named Simon Sinek, Start With Why. It's one of the best.
Oh my gosh.
It's
love it.
One of the that's like, I have books that I consider like almost like a leadership Bible, right? Mm-hmm. Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Yeah. It's up there.
Yeah.
Leaders Eat Last is a great one too.
Yeah.
But that's what I tell my team.
Have you ever read Way of the Shepherd?
No, I've not read Way of the Shepherd.
Bro, bomb. Love
it. But I would tell my team, if you're feeling resistance, we just had that recently where there were some things going on with one of our teams, and I told that pastor, they forgot the why. They forgot why we're doing this.
Yeah.
You need to bring unification.
Yeah. So
remind them of the why.
As young leaders, a lot of times, most people that are watching this are probably not in the position you're in as far as like you're the lead guy, right?
Sure, yeah.
A lot of people are probably in that like young businessman or woman.
Yep.
They are working their way up. Maybe they're trying to find what they're even called to do. You know, maybe it's not ministry, maybe it's business, maybe it's the arts or the medical field or something like that. Yep. Right? So there's many things they could be doing. They're trying to figure it out. How do they lead up though? Ooh. Because young people, they have great ideas. Sometimes they're not all the way thought through. And because I can say that because I'm a young person who has great ideas sometimes.
Me too, bro.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't think that one through. I wish I could go back.
I've done some dumb things, bro. And right, it's all good.
Yeah, 100%. So how do you lead up in a respectful, honorable way while also trying to contribute to your organization?
Yeah, I would say the first thing is pray for your leader.
Yeah,
because you won't ever have a heart for something you don't pray for.
Yeah.
And I know that's like super basic, like, oh yeah, we need to pray for. No, like pray. Do you pray for him? Do you pray for his family, the kids?
And not just even, like a soft prayer, right?
Right. No, like God,
thank
declare scripture.
Thank you for him. Yeah, like you need to get after it.
Yeah, like, and even if it's a secular leader, so like let's talk business. Pray for your leader. Salvation of Jesus, compassion. God would show mercy. God would bless him. God would give him grace. Right? It's that whole Romans idea of hot coals on their head.
Yeah.
Like, because prayer doesn't just change the person you're praying for, but it actually begins to change the person that's praying. It changes your heart.
That's good.
So now you're looking at it from a different lens and a different perspective.
Yeah.
Pray for your leader. I don't know how many times I would get so irritated with my leader, and then I realized I haven't prayed for him like in 6 months.
Yeah.
And you're just so focused on the irritation. And now you're looking at him through your eyes instead of God's eyes.
Yeah.
Pray for your leader. Number 2, and this can kind of kiss butt kind of way, but it's not.
Yeah.
I promise. Find out what your leader loves and what your leader hates. You got to find out who this person is.
Yeah.
And just know what they love and what they hate. So, for example, you have a leader here at your church that we were just talking about it this week as we were hanging out. You can't be late.
He hates late.
Don't be late.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, don't catch the smoke.
Ever. Yeah. Show up early.
So,
yeah.
Why would he ever listen to you and your good idea, even if it's from God, if you can't even do what he asked you to do?
1,000,000%.
Don't be freaking late.
He shouldn't.
Why not? Yeah.
He shouldn't.
So, learn the pet peeves. So I can tell you all my leaders' pet peeves. He hated crying babies when he was preaching. People had crying babies, had to take them out. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Right? Chewing gum, right? Yeah. All the things, right? Slides slow on Sundays. That was a pet peeve of his.
That's a big one.
Yep.
Random lights being out in the sanctuary that need to be changed. That
one wasn't as bad.
That's one of ours.
That's one of yours. That's one of yours.
Yeah, his eye for that is amazing. He'll be there. He'll be texting people on stage, and preaching.
But everyone has their thing. That's what I'm saying. I have my thing.
Yeah.
So you got right. So I know the things. Like I knew when he would respond with the words okay, O-K-A-Y, okay, and then K, what that really meant. Demeanor wise.
Yeah.
Okay was like okay, cool. Okay was like, okay, sounds good. And then K was like, fine. And you don't want to get the K.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that, you just think he's fine with everything.
Yeah. And it's all the same.
And he's never going to explain that.
Yeah.
But I know that.
Yeah.
I know his anniversary. I knew his passwords to his computer because he wasn't really techie.
Yeah.
And so I was the one who always opened up his iPad, his MacBook to help him, to serve him. Yeah. And then so you got to learn who is this person? What does he love? What does he not love? And not to be over the top, but to know that so you don't irritate this person and you don't feel like you can be trusted.
Yeah.
There were certain things I knew that we're just not going to talk about and he's not about it and that's okay.
Yeah.
So you then know how to in a way lead up because you know how to approach. You know the right times and the wrong times. You know how to address situations. You know how to walk through this, right? It's this idea of relational and emotional intelligence. And the knowing of them is because you care, not because you want something.
Yeah.
Can you care about them?
Yeah.
And I would hope that they care about you. I would say most leaders do care about the people that are under them.
I agree.
They're not perfect, but they genuinely do care. Maybe they're busy, but they genuinely do care.
Yeah.
Right? And then the last thing I would say, right, is number 1, pray. Number 2, know the person, right? Really know who they are. And then I would say the third thing you really got to do is it's kind of connected to the honor thing where, make sure you're not doing anything dishonorable that they lose trust with you.
Yeah.
The obvious things.
Yeah.
And, consistency is key.
Yeah.
And then just wait. And God just begins to open doors.
Absolutely.
God begins to trust you with things like that. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Does that help a little bit?
I think it does. Yeah. It brings clarity to me too, I think. And I think probably hundreds of people, thousands of people listening.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think it brings clarity.
Yeah. And again, it's motive. It's not just, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it could sound like you're being a kiss butt.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to.
But it goes back to that serving well. Right. Leadership is serving.
Right. And are you and so this is something we say all the time. Is the team making, so before it was my old guy, but now it's me.
Yeah.
Are they making my job easier or harder?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And your job is not to make his job harder. Your job is to make his job easier.
Well, I mean, even just from a financial standpoint, that's why they're paying you. Fix these problems. So I don't
and it doesn't mean you have to kill yourself. Again, because it's motive.
Yeah.
It's all compassion. It's motive. And then there's going to be times where your leader will have your back with things. It's reciprocal.
Yeah.
But it does start with you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Especially if you're frustrated, I just feel like everything I'm trying to do, he doesn't trust. Well, maybe it's because you haven't shown him trustworthy work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or he can tell you're just kissing butt and you don't really care.
Yeah.
And transactional relationships are never powerful. Transactional relationships are always shallow. Yeah. It has to be deeper than transaction.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. I got 2 more things, and we'll be done. Sound good?
Bro, I'm about it.
All right. Okay, cool. This last thing is this. One of my favorite leadership sayings, it comes from the book that I was just talking about, The Way of the Shepherd.
Okay.
He says, either you pay the price for leadership or your people do.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
And so with that, how can young leaders learn now to pay the price? Dr. Billy Wilson, he is the president of ORU. He teaches a class called Spirit Empowered Leadership. And so everybody at ORU's got to take it. It's like one of the classes you have to take. It's like an ORU specific thing. And he also talked about how leadership is the ability to suffer. Like you're going to have to sacrifice. The greater your threshold for suffering, the more the greater your capacity to lead.
Yeah, and like Sam Chan talks about that too.
Absolutely.
Leadership pain.
Yeah. And I'm sure he got it from one of them. That's where I first heard it.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So talk to us young leaders about that. How can we learn to suffer well? Or I like the way the shepherd says, to pay the price for leadership now so the people we're leading don't have to pay the price.
Yeah, so I would say there's so many things to it. I'll just give one.
Yeah, just give me one. Yeah.
Learn to be okay when someone says no.
It's good. That might be the hardest one.
It hurts.
That might be the hardest one. Yeah.
Learn to be okay when your leader says no.
Yeah.
And don't question it.
Yeah. Trust them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's real suffering.
Yeah.
Because if you have an older leader, like older, not like if you're 30 and he's 40. Mm-hmm. I'm talking like if you're 20, like I was 20 and he was 45.
Yeah.
Chances are the things I'm bringing to him, I'm right.
Yeah.
That's real pain, is when you know you're right.
Yeah.
And they say no, and you don't need to understand it, and you just have to take it to the Lord, kill it on the cross that you had to kill your flesh on, and show up the next day and still serve him like you would serve him when you first started.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good.
Like learn to trust no.
Yeah.
And learn to love the no in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when it's hurtful and it's painful. Yeah. And don't take it personal.
Yeah. It's good. Okay.
That's that. And I know we could talk a lot. Like there's so much to it. Yeah. But that's just from my experience. And so at first it really hurt. Like, hey, can we do this? No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where I remember one time I wanted to bring someone to speak. Right? Everyone's vocational is different. Yeah. Vocation is different. It could be, we need to do this spreadsheet. We need to do this system. We need to change this. We need to do that. For preachers, pastors, some of that is, for example, I'm going to use the context of, we did a conference. I wanted someone to speak. And I could just tell, he's like, well, let's talk about it. And I was like, okay, what's wrong? And he was like, well, I've heard some things and some things are a little rough. And this is a friend of mine, but he's heard some bad reputation. And I said, oh, well, if you just don't want me to bring him, I just won't bring him. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, if you really want to, if you feel God's on it, I'm like, because now he's trusting me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not coming in like, well, why not, bro?
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. Or like, this is stupid. And you're not the guy. You're not the guy.
Yeah.
I believe that most people leave churches because they're just not the lead pastor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So I just said, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's not bring him.
Yeah.
And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I could tell you're not, I don't need to convince you.
Yeah.
It's fine. And if you change your mind, let me know next year. But let's just not bring him.
Yeah.
Let's not bring him. Oh, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I just did? He doesn't have to stress out for like a month that I'm upset. And yeah, I was a little irritated maybe because like I thought this guy would be good, but then it's like, what does it matter? It's just, again, it's that preference over conviction thing. No, another time, I remember I got in trouble because, not in trouble, but kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
And if he ever watches this, he'd laugh at the story. A key moment too was we used to do beach days. We used to go to the beach.
Yeah.
And take our kids, teenagers, to the beach, and then we just did like a spontaneous baptism thing.
Oh, cool.
Baptized heck of kids. It was fire. I thought it was fire.
Yeah.
He wasn't feeling it because there was no parents there, family. So some parents, I don't know this because I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
We're calling him and we're a little bothered that their kid got baptized and they weren't able to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that weight is, but he does. So he says, hey, I think it would be best if we don't do that next time. Now, I immediately get triggered because he's pretty much telling me no. I just saw a God thing.
Yeah.
We baptized like 20, 30 kids in the ocean. Presence of God hit the beach. And it was powerful. And now he's criticizing it. That's how I viewed it when I first heard him.
Yeah.
Theologically, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Scripturally, it's not wrong. But preference, he just felt like it would be better if we baptized people with their parents. And he was right also. Right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I felt I was right and he was right. And so I remember we're just in the kitchen, and he was like, yeah, I've heard some from parents, and man, dude, I just don't think we should do that.
Yeah.
And but we could talk about it. He's right, because he's humility. But we could talk about it. We could talk about it. Maybe we could promote it. I was like, you know what? No, I just won't baptize kids in the ocean ever again.
Yeah.
He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like it's not worth the headache. Like, and of course I believe that I think it's a good idea, but if it's not a good idea to you and I don't need to understand it all, I'm okay. I'm good. And I was like, are we good? And he's like, yeah, that would be great. And we just never talked about it again. I never did again. It wasn't an issue.
That's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's great leadership from him too.
And
right.
Like
that's moving for me.
So like it's reciprocated, right? Like that's the thing. It's like, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Another time I remember he asked me to do something. I got mad because I was supposed to do like a sound project. I was over sound for a little bit. Don't know why that happened.
Sure
I volunteered. Shouldn't have done that. Just trying to help. Sometimes you got to know your limitation too.
Yeah.
So some of these older guys, they set up the sound system in our sanctuary the exact opposite way of what they were told. And I was livid.
Yeah.
So I go into his office and I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing sound anymore. I'm not doing this. If you want to have someone do sound, you need to find someone else. I came in hot.
Yeah.
And he came in hot right back. And he was like, close the door. Took off his glasses. He always, because again, you got to know your leader.
Yeah.
When he's mad, he takes off his glasses.
Oh,
and he rubs his nose like this. And I've seen it with how he does with his kids. When he's done with other staff. And he did this.
Oh, man.
And he was like, first of all, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Yeah.
You don't tell me what to do. And if I asked you to do sound while you work here forever, you're going to do sound.
Yeah.
Tell me what's really wrong. And I just break. I was frustrated. I was angry. He knew I was emotional. And he calmed me down. He said, well, you know what? Let's work on you not doing sound then maybe in the next year or two. But right now I need you to finish this project. I got your back. Let's walk through this together. But he totally corrected me, shut me down because I came in all hot. Again, he told me no.
Yeah.
And then I had to stick in it. And there's pain and suffering. But that's where real development and formation happens.
Yeah.
Real mentorship, sonship doesn't happen when your leader tells you yes. Real mentorship, sonship, discipleship happens when your leader tells you no. That's the real test.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It's the real test.
Man, thank you so much for being on the podcast, bro.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate
this was great.
you. Hey, y'all, show him some love in the comment section. Once again, where can they find you at? Instagram and Facebook,
Instagram, Facebook. ThriveLathrop.com is our website.
Sick.
Love to connect if you ever are in town.
Yeah.
And Pastor Austin, thanks, man. Good for having me, bro.
Problem.
Love what you're doing. This is going to be really dope.
Amen, bro. We'll have you back on.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right, bro. We love you guys. Peace.